You're watching PJTV. I'm Steve Green. This is your Coast to Coast Tea Party. Today, a real test of strength and the reach of the Tea Party as we go to Utah's 2nd Congressional District. Blue Dog Democrat Jim Matheson has held this seat since 2001, winning his last election by an almost 2-to-1 margin. But that is not the whole story. For that, let's go to GOP candidate and Tea Party favorite, Morgan Philpott. Mr. Philpott, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, wouldn't have missed it. Now, I can't think of another way to say this, but Utah's 2nd District is a little strange. You've got these big Republican majorities. Cook rates it at R+15, and yet voters keep sending Matheson to Congress. I guess the question is why?
You know, that's a question that I think the GOP needs an answer for, both nationally and locally. It's a race we should have won a long time ago, but we didn't. It's a race we should have fought a lot harder for in the past, but we didn't. And so now we've got a great banner year with the Tea Party movement and a very conservative movement across America. And hopefully they recognize this year that their own congressman has become really detrimental to the recovery of our economy. I mean, you look at, you know as well as I do where our debt is at and where we stand as a nation. And I'll tell you, he is just not helping here in Utah, not representing Utah. So this year's the year.
Yeah, you've got this entrenched Democrat, and you know he did vote no on Obamacare, which is maybe a little bit of insurance for him. So what's your angle? What do you do to unseat this guy?
Well, I think this year it's pretty clear. There's two messages which resonate nationally and one that resonates here in Utah. The two national messages are jobs and opportunities, and the second is smaller, more limited government, both of which Congress is an egregious offender. And my opponent also voting for things like a $2 trillion increase in the debt. Today he voted to adjourn rather than ensuring that the tax cuts weren't enacted, or that they were enacted, and ensuring that we had a budget to go off of. So those are two, again, they all speak to smaller, more limited government, but locally lands. Lands are a huge issue here in Utah, and they are continually being taken away from us. Our access, our control is being diminished constantly. And Utah, in its whole history, is dependent upon its lands for its economic prosperity.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the local angle. I found your TV ad, or one of your TV ads this morning, and I got to tell you, as a devoted iPad user, I love the thing. Let's run this so everyone can see what I'm talking about.
This is Utah's 2nd congressional seat. Over the past 10 years, this seat has sponsored and passed 2 bills. This seat has had 10 years to make a difference, 10 years to fight for our jobs and our families, but there it sat. An empty seat in Congress is a luxury we can no longer afford. My name is Morgan Philpott, and I'm gonna wear this sucker out. Watch.
Morgan Philpott. Elect differently.
I approve this message.
That was good stuff. You know, I think it's interesting
Thanks.
that in this nationalized, wave election, you're running this very targeted ad on his job performance. Has he really been that bad?
Yes. In fact, you go back and you look, this guy is one of the greatest fence sitters in the United States. And you mentioned the healthcare debate. Most people don't know that 2 days before that healthcare debate happened, he voted to help make sure the Demon Pass rule was an option for Nancy Pelosi. He then refused to repeal the individual mandate and has since committed that he will not work to repeal Obamacare. So again, where is our congressman? It's kind of, you ask the question, will the real Jim Matheson please stand up? Because he's nowhere to be seen on the critical debates of our time.
You know, when I was going through your site this morning, and it looks like you're really connecting yourself with the new blood in the GOP. Marco Rubio's there, Joe Miller up in Alaska, Charles Lawler in Maryland. I don't see John Boehner anywhere. That's always nice. So is Tea Party enthusiasm what's going to make this happen, do you think?
Well, I think I think Tea Party enthusiasm is just a manifestation of the silent majority of Americans waking up and saying, we don't trust you anymore, Washington, D.C. And that's what the Tea Party movement, in my opinion, is. It's normal, everyday Americans stepping up, saying, this year we're going to make a difference. This year we're going to remind you who's the boss. And 86% of Washington, D.C. is up for re-election. I mean, this year really is. It's the next American Revolution, but it's a peaceful revolution. And it's just us stepping up and saying, in our sovereign way, we're calling you home if you're not doing your job right.
Send them all home. You know, you already mentioned repeal of Obamacare. Is being not the Democrat good enough in a year like this, or do you really need a proactive agenda to bring with you to D.C., something to really run on?
That's hard to say. I think it could be enough. There's no doubt an anti-incumbency sentiment, but at the same time, this awakening that's happening across America, you see people saying, we want more. We want to know that in your core, you're dedicated to more than just talking about issues that are important to us. We want to see that you're principally centered on good government and good ideas.
Now, you're in a tough fight, so what can our viewers do to help? Where can they go to get involved?
If you can donate to our campaign, please go to philpot4congress.com. It's PHILPOT for Congress.com. If you can't donate and you're here in Utah, we would love to have your participation as a volunteer. We've got a wonderful grassroots campaign, some wonderful people working on this race, and in the end, that's what's going to win this for us.
Yeah, you know, I got my start in politics 25 years ago, pushing doorbells and stuffing envelopes, handing out flyers. And the volunteers make or break a campaign. They really do.
No doubt. And we have the best here ready to go. We've got just a fantastic grassroots campaign here.
Excellent. Again, thanks for coming on the show today. Best of luck in November. You know, every single one of these so-called safe seats we can win, it just takes us that much closer to rolling back this progressive agenda. And that, of course, Morgan Philpott up against some tough competition in Utah's 2nd District. You can find out more at philpotforcongress.com, and you can follow him on Twitter as Morgan Philpott. I'm already doing that. Thanks for clicking in, everybody. And for PJTV, I'm Steve Green.